Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. I'm Alex Lippic and you join us at MONEY2020 here in Amsterdam. And I'm very pleased indeed to be joined by John Duigenan of IBM Technology, and I am also joined by Shanker Ramamurthy of IBM Consulting. Thank you both ever so much for having me at your wonderful stand.
Thank you so much, Alex, for being with us.
Our pleasure.
Absolute pleasure to be here. So we're going to just start by setting the scene. If you can bring me up to date kindly, where we're at with Gen AI within banking. And John, I'm going to come to you first if that's all right.
So we have seen all of the excitement and we have seen the fun consumer use cases. The real question, Alex, has been about how we, especially we at IBM, given our enterprise focus, how we put generative AI to work and help our clients achieve meaningful outcomes. Our clients have been in a huge experimentation phase for as long as generative AI has been around now, which is not that long.
Sure.
But the time has come to say, why are we doing this? What's the overall purpose for the organization? And generally speaking, that's rooted in some kind of financial KPI. And so firms have evolved from experimentation to becoming very focused on what are the KPIs we need to drive, how do we use API to move those KPIs, whether it's some kind of business growth or efficiency and productivity, and then how do they do that in a way that our clients can trust. There's a lot of challenge around the trust issue with generative AI, simply because most firms don't want to be trusted or don't want to answer to standards. IBM's taken a different view, which is that we are going to lead with trust and lead with being focused on enterprises and enterprise outcomes.
Yeah. I think trust is the key word. I picked up on that, and you mentioned some of the challenges. If I could come to you, Shanker, are there any other challenges, but also optimistic things that we can look forward to in terms of Gen AI?
No, the good news is, as I talk to banking clients around the world, in fact, we completed a recent survey and a study. About 80+% of financial institutions have adopted Gen AI in one shape or another, a proof of concept, pilot, and so on. And about 8% are actually implementing it on an enterprise scale. So I call it the 8 and 80 problem. 8% doing it enterprise scale, about 80% experimenting with it. I think as we go into 2025, that 8% is likely to become more like 80%, because more and more of our clients recognize that generative AI is a must-have capability, and it's touching all aspects of what our clients are doing in banking. What do I mean by that? Our clients are using it in 4 broad areas. Everything to do with the customer and the front office, everything to do with operations in the middle and back office, a lot around regulation and risk and compliance, which is a huge part of what we do in banking. And importantly, for the first time, this is a technology that's actually changing the software development life cycle itself, in that generative AI is accelerating the rate and pace at which you can develop and deploy software. And so all these 4 aspects are being worked on by our clients, some on a pilot and proof of concept basis, others on an enterprise scale, and the impact is quite visible already, right? And not just in the consumer world, but in the corporate world as well. So exciting times ahead.
Sure, thank you for sharing that insight, and it's just so interesting to understand how much is going into it behind the scenes and how much it's evolved, especially over the last 12 months or so. John, if I could come to you, do you have any particular case studies, perhaps some successful case studies to share on how Gen AI has impacted a particular institution?
Yeah, so NatWest published with us around their virtual assistant, Cora, and they have a long track record of innovating customer experience. They equally wanted to be early adopters and early experimenters with generative AI. And the reason they wanted to do that, Alex, was because, one, being innovative in customer experience, it's a high profile, highly visible area. But there was a business KPI behind doing it too, that's not so much about growth, although that comes with great customer experience. It was about developer experience and being able to use generative AI and Watson X to build a virtual assistant using generative AI without pre-programming all of the assistant intents, which was a huge accelerator. So instead, what they did was take a very trusted source of their product catalog and product information, fed that into a private large language model, and started, so that could be trusted, so trusted information again. And not trust as a disadvantage, but trust as a competitive advantage, and the ability to clearly present a message to their clients that this can be trusted.
Sure.
And so we see huge positives. And then we have clients all over the world using the Watson X Code Assistant to improve developer productivity as they work on COBOL that could be 50 years old, creating an understanding of that COBOL, reverse engineering requirements and documentation from that COBOL, and then potentially going as far as converting it to Java. And so IBM's built not only a technology platform, but also the large language and foundation models that are very purpose specific that enable that kind of work to be done. And we're very excited because we didn't keep that as a closed proprietary activity. We've open sourced our models, and Red Hat, the leader in open source technology, an IBM company, is unleashing our open source models on the world. And it's very exciting because we see generative AI as a team sport, not something that's going to be controlled by two companies in the world.
Sure. I love that team sport. It's a team effort.
It's
also an education, isn't it? Because it is still new. Things are evolving and changing all the time within this rather complex industry that we're talking about. $1 million question. Looking forward, Shanker, what's to come, do you think, over the next 12 months or so?
Generative AI is moving towards what we think of as a multimodal, multi-model world. So multimodal as an increasingly you're bringing together not just large language, but voice and images and other capability together to bring the best that you can within the enterprise and across the ecosystem. Multi-model in that, we're going to see our large clients using multiple models, because you have fit-for-purpose models in generative AI. You've got to use the right model in the right context to get the real economic benefit. Because inference engines can be extremely expensive if you're using the wrong model, particularly if it's a large language model. So we're going to see a lot of that, and managing through all that complexity is going to be key and interesting. Enterprise-wide adoption is going to be another big theme. One of our clients here in Europe has already got over 200 projects happening across the enterprise in all aspects of the enterprise, and they're learning rapidly and executing. From a future standpoint, we think, and we announced this recently at our Think conference in Boston a couple of weeks ago, this whole capability that we call Instruct Lab, which enables abstraction of enhancements to the model without having to change the base model, is going to be a really interesting pivot point in the industry as more and more open source capabilities get infused into this world. And last but not least, close to 100% of publicly available data has already been ingested and used by large language models. The opportunity is bringing that capability to bear on organizational data. In the case of banking and financial markets, something like 98% of that capability is still not being ingested at a large language model. So it's an extraordinary opportunity to use Instruct Lab and all this data, coupled with what's available outside and APIs, to create extraordinary value. I haven't been more excited about the possibilities like I am today after over 30 years in consulting. Exciting times ahead.
I can tell just by the tone of your voice how excited you are, and it is exciting, and I really look forward to seeing how things develop moving forwards, and hopefully we'll have a chat again maybe about 12 months time from now. But in the meantime, John, Shanker, thank you so much for giving up your time.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you.